They called her Sweet Candy Montgomery. How well do you really know your best friend? What really happened in that laundry room? Was it trauma or was it choice? There was blood. There was a baby crying. There was death, but no scream. That was the strangest part. Just silence settling over a house that had once held Bible studies, birthday cakes, and casseroles. Suburbia never saw it coming, but on June 13, 1980, Wylie, Texas, changed forever. Because Betty Gore was found in her laundry room, hacked to death, and her best friend Candy Montgomery was the last person to see her alive. This is the true story of two women, one axe, and a friendship torn apart by secrets, betrayal, and something darker than anyone expected. Stay with me, because what you think you know about this case barely scratches the surface. Candy Montgomery seemed like the perfect wife. She baked, she volunteered at church, she had a big smile, a husband named Pat, and two kids with straight teeth. She fit in perfectly with the sleepy pace of Wylie, Texas, a town where everyone knew your dog's name, your favorite pie recipe, and the way you parted your hair. Betty Gore was quieter, a middle school teacher, reserved, dependable. She lived just a few blocks away, and for a time, she and Candy were inseparable. Bible camp, choir practice, backyard playdates. They were two pillars in a world that didn't ask for much beyond decency and devotion. But in 1980, in a quiet town where gossip spread faster than Sunday sermons, Candy became something else. She became the woman who killed her best friend with an axe 41 times. It started where many suburban nightmares do, in a church, the Lucas Methodist Church in Collin County, Texas, where people wore smiles like uniforms and buried their chaos under layers of routine. That's where Candy met Betty Gore, a woman built like porcelain, delicate in demeanor, careful with words, forever chasing an ideal of family she could never quite touch. She was the schoolteacher, quiet, responsible, married to Alan Gore, an unremarkable man with thinning hair and a permanent look of fatigue. And yet, somehow, that tired man would become the spark, the one Candy couldn't stop watching. The affair didn't start with passion, it started with boredom. Candy had it all on paper: house, kids, church, a decent husband. But inside, it was a slow suffocation. Her days blurred into errands and expectations, her nights even worse: silence, sleep, and nothing in between. She didn't want love, she wanted different. So one afternoon, after a church volleyball game, sweaty and smiling, Candy turned to Alan and asked a question most people only whisper in their fantasies. Do you want to have an affair? Just like that, no seduction, no emotional dance, just the offer. Alan was stunned, flattered, scared, but eventually intrigued. They laid down ground rules: meetings only during lunch hours, neutral hotels, no emotional attachment, no falling in love, no ruining their marriages. Simple, controlled, or so they thought. The affair lasted almost a year. At first, it was everything they hoped for: uncomplicated pleasure in the middle of ordinary lives. But reality never stays clean. Candy started to feel something, maybe not love, but ownership, power, validation. And Alan, he started pulling back. His wife, Betty, had just had their second child. She was overwhelmed, suspicious, fragile, and Alan, guilt-ridden and unsure, tried to repair the cracks in his marriage. So he ended it with Candy. But things like that don't just end, especially not with someone like her. June 13, 1980, a Friday, hot, still, and unforgettable. Candy had arranged to pick up a swimsuit for Betty's older daughter, Elisa, who was having a sleepover with Candy's kids. Harmless, friendly, routine. She pulled up to the Gore residence just before noon. Betty answered the door. There are no witnesses to what happened next, only Candy's story and the blood that remained. According to Candy, Betty was calm at first. They chatted, small talk, politeness that danced around something unsaid. Then Betty asked, "Are you having an affair with my husband?" Candy, never one to lie easily, said yes. What happened after that is murky. Candy claimed Betty walked to the garage, retrieved an axe that she swung first, that Candy defended herself. But forensic evidence told another version. Betty was struck 41 times. 41. Most of the blows landed while she was on the ground. Defensive wounds suggested she fought for her life, clawing, screaming, trying to survive. One blow might be self-defense. 2. 41. And Candy, she left. She drove home, covered in blood. She cleaned up, changed clothes, and baked a cake for her daughter's birthday party. That night, she laughed, hosted guests, played mom. Betty's baby cried alone in her crib for hours, unfed and forgotten, less than a room away from her mother's mutilated body. When Alan couldn't reach his wife by phone, he asked neighbors to check in. They found the blood, the baby, and Betty, unrecognizable. The police arrived, puzzled and horrified. It didn't look like a robbery. It looked personal, brutal, controlled and uncontrolled at once. The kind of rage you don't fake. Within days, suspicion circled back to Candy. She was too calm, too rehearsed, and eventually after a failed polygraph and mounting evidence she confessed. But not to murder, to self-defense. The trial became a media circus. A housewife, a church-going mother, on trial for axe murder. The courtroom was packed. Reporters spilled into the hallway. Every woman in town looked at her neighbor sideways. What did they really know about the people sitting in the pews beside them? Candy's defense team pulled out a weapon of their own, psychology. They claimed Candy had suffered a dissociative episode, that a buried childhood trauma was triggered by something Betty said, that the word shuddered in the middle of the fight flipped a switch in Candy's mind, releasing years of repressed fear. A psychiatrist testified under hypnosis that Candy wasn't aware of how many times she struck Betty. It wasn't murder, they said. It was survival. The jury listened, debated, and on October 30th, 1980, they found her not guilty. The public exploded. People were stunned, outraged. How could a woman kill another 41 times and walk free? Was it justice? Or was Candy simply too clean, too charming, too familiar to be punished? One juror said later, she just didn't seem like a murderer. But what does a murderer seem like? Is it the messy hair, the wild eyes? Or can it be a woman who brings cupcakes to Sunday school? After the trial, Candy changed her name, moved away, reinvented herself as a therapist, helping others manage their trauma. She never served a single day in prison. Alan Gore remarried, divorced again, faded into normalcy. Betty's 2 daughters were raised by her parents, growing up without a mother and with a gaping silence around her death. No one talks about the axe anymore, but the echo of it still lingers, in the quiet neighborhoods, in the friendly smiles, in the places where secrets were polite disguises. You see, Candy wasn't a monster, not at first. She was a mirror of every repressed wife, every bored husband, every soul pretending to be fulfilled while suffocating inside a suburban script they didn't write. She didn't want blood, she wanted escape. She just took the wrong exit. And the world, it let her. Years later, if you saw Candy on the street, you wouldn't look twice. She blended in. And maybe that's the real horror. Not the axe, not the affair, but the idea that the darkest things we're capable of can hide behind the kindest face, behind the neighbor next door, behind the mom at school pickup, behind you. Because in the end, the line between who we are and what we do is thinner than anyone wants to admit. And in places like Wylie, Texas, where everything seems fine, that's where silence grows teeth and smiles draw blood. This is Vaccine, where silence starts to talk.
Love that? This is just the beginning of the madness, heartbreak, obsession, and revenge we bring to your screen every week. Subscribe now to Love and Blood, where love bleeds, truth screams, and fiction feels too real. Every story here, it'll leave a scar, and you'll keep coming back for more. Tap subscribe. Share with someone who needs to see behind the smile. Love and Blood, because some hearts don't just break, they burn.